Hi, and
Hello.
welcome to the first installment of a background character kind of, I guess, introduction? That sounds about right. So, we're going to start off simple. It's a beautiful day outside. Lucky you've been awake for. How long have you been awake by the time it is about mid sunrise?
What time would that be on the clock?
Uh, about 8:30, 9 o'clock.
He's been up since 4.
And what have you been doing?
He's been doing his runs. He leaves whatever placement they keep him in,
You
finds out.
tend, I will say, you tend to stay in a place that was given to you by the people who took you over to the main island of Scala ad Kylum. And as a result, it's kind of your own place that isn't quite in a dormitory and not quite on academy grounds. It's kind of in that weird in between of you're a little bit more lavish than other people.
It is absolutely empty. The
Aside from
most
a
he probably
bed, a
has.
couch, probably the
Yeah,
basic necessities. Yeah.
it's probably got a TV that's never been turned on.
So, with that in mind, you're doing your runs. Where are
Yeah.
you going while the teachers are starting to slowly rouse to their positions, as you are far well and beyond awake before most of them?
The edge of the aisle. He's
Well,
at the dock.
not quite. The docks are a little bit beyond the main gates, so you wouldn't be able to go there.
And he is currently trying to climb the main gates.
No. Be realistic.
Yeah, I know. I'm just making the jokes. He'd probably get to the gates. Be polite. Do what mom taught. Be polite. Ask if it's okay to leave. Get told no. Wander off.
So this morning, there's someone there before you. Rather, there's two someones. One with
Ooh.
one with uh kind of bright blonde yellowish hair in a nice pencil suit. And like it's almost striped if it wasn't for the fact that the designs seem to be moving and is wearing active combat boots with a pencil suit and is holding a what looks like a chai latte, in one hand and is just gesturing occasionally with it while talking to the other person, who is, for lack of a better term, the most flamboyant rose gardener you've ever met, and has a cloak thrown over one shoulder with a like proper formal attire, but clearly decorated with either magic or sewing materials. And you're not sure which is which because in this day and age, both can be applicable and still have some weird moving pattern to them. And they're both talking, one of them with a drink and one seemingly without. And as you approach, they kind of stop, and you realize these are the masters of defense and strategy, Marluxia and Larxene, or as they call themselves, La and El. And La, or Marluxia, looks up and goes, "Oh, hey, you're up early." Or I guess not. We've kind of heard around that you get up early. We're the ones up early
On the
this
days
time,
this
aren't
week.
we?
Yeah.
They just keep
Hmm?
they're kind of cracking a joke, not at your expense, but kind of at the fact that they're the ones up early.
Mom talks about you too often. Wonder if he's right. Is it cool to leave today? And
Uh,
he points to the gate.
and Elle speaks up, going, uh, kind of yes, kind of no. There's not trouble, but just a storm, it seems. Not a
I
bad one,
know.
just a storm.
I know. That's why I want to go. It's my storm.
It's your storm? They both speak up. You
Yeah,
caused
that
it?
was. No, it's a reoccurring storm. It happens on the edge of the isles often. It covers up in a little plot of island just a couple miles out of shore. I was abandoned on that island, so it's my
They
storm.
Marluxia kind of sighs. This heavy, almost knowing sigh of we're being used to something that's being said, but overall not really caring. Or at least caring just in their own way. And Marluxia pushes off the gates, walks over to you, and, well, you can't go alone, no, but
Oh.
I don't think you're ever allowed to go alone. There's only a few people on
No.
this island that can go anywhere alone.
No, Mom doesn't like me going anywhere alone because I tend to attract things or get distracted. It's normally the
Hold
second
up.
one.
Mom?
Yes, Mom.
And you said he.
Mm-hmm. Because he's not Dad, so he's Mom.
And who's dad? Lucky, you know better than to say who it is.
He just stares to the side. I don't know. He abandoned me.
Uh-huh.
Refusing eye contact. Like, openly refusing eye contact, monotone reply.
Uh-huh. You see them out of the corner of your eye kind of exchange a look of they clearly don't believe you, but they make an effort not to pressure you. After all, it doesn't seem like you're in any real distress or imminent danger from this mom or dad figure. So they kind of brush it aside, and La stands up, Marluxia stands up. Well, you're headed out to that island you were found on, yeah?
No, I'm going to the shore city. If it's storming, that island's not there anymore.
Right, yeah. That's a fair point. We kind of forgot about that tidbit. Yeah, and I don't really care for the water. I am basically a walking lightning bolt. And just nudging Marluxia from Elle or Larxene. And just, yeah, Elle, I get it. Now, come on, let's get you out to the docks. And accompany you this
Yep.
time? Apparently something happened last time that you got into a bit of a tiff with the Elder.
The moment kind of clicks in Lucky's head. We're allowed to go. Just the yes. Arms
And
up, very childlike. Success. We move.
and they both smile at you, but you don't know whether they're smiling. I don't think Lucky actually questions why they're smiling, just that they are.
If you question a smile, it's not a real joy. So you don't question smiles.
And one of them makes a signal to something unseen or maybe someone off from the rest of this small group that you've got going on here. And the doors, well, the gates rather, big enough for one small person to slip through the bars, but not big enough for someone Larxene or Marluxia's size. That you probably could have slipped through were they not actively present in that location. And you probably have multiple times, as you kind of recall these moments as your mom, or the one that you call mom, would get onto your case about it. Of just, please don't do that. You're gonna get someone hurt or yourself hurt, and I can't be liable for that.
Gotcha. I'll go back to climbing.
No. And that's kind of where you find yourself chuckling, as by the time you snap out of that memory, you've been led onto one of the boats at the docks. And it's just big enough for like 3 to 5, maybe 6 people, including the ferryman. And it's primarily for travel.
Lucky moves to the very front of the boat, and it's at this point, it's that kind of revelation of what he's wearing. He had sandals on, they're still in the boat, but now he's just barefoot on the edge, staring out towards the island, just like.
And
he's
the
got
other
these
yeah
he's got these cuff shorts on, kind of sleeveless t-shirt with a cut jacket on that looks like if push comes to shove, it's definitely gonna be able to become a flotation device sort of thing.
So Sora.
He's just not intentionally. I hear it now, not intentionally.
You are giving both of your presumed parents heart attacks. Please, cool. Don't do that. I say jokingly.
Why do you wear this? I fall into water often.
But as you go past the docks and go out towards the island that the village that took care of you is on, you find yourself kind of grinning, as though there is a predicted storm on the horizon, it is clear skies for the time being. And you cannot be happier. That means you have more time to spare, more time to relax and have fun. And it's warming. As you hear the chattering behind you of your 2 chaperones, the masters of strategy and defense. As Marluxia has seemingly summoned his drink from the ether. You don't know how he does it, but he always has something to drink or eat on hand. And him being without it was probably just refilling the canister.
Lucky just kind of doesn't stare too long, but does give that, like, sort of stare. Alright, I've absorbed that information, and back out to the ocean.
It's, like I said, it's a beautiful day outside. Even though, again, storm on the horizon, there's not a cloud in sight right now. Though you know well that the storm that swallows an entire portion of the island, it isn't natural. It will come onset and rapidly. So, whether or not you have a short time or a long time is yet to be seen. But for now, you're at ease. But as you draw closer to the isle, it's much smaller than Skala Ad Kylem's main island. Of course it is. The academy is built upon ruins that were equally as massive. But this island, built on smaller ruins, smaller, I guess, territory outside of the main island, it gives off the feeling of home away from home. And for you, this is the only home that you've known. Aside from, of course, a certain man's office. And the boat docks, and the ferryman goes to step off, but I'm pretty sure Lucky is the first one off.
He full on did a jump before onto the stone dock areas,
Hmm.
like where the dock and the shore connect. He jumped to the shore area first, absolutely, and immediately that kind of like, okay, don't run when you unclip a dog from a walk and then just zoom off.
Hmm.
Lucky is bolting, left his sandals behind, but bolted.
You hear a call after you that kind of gets muffled in the way of sand and wind in your ears as you are bolting. Where do you head to first?
He heads to the center square, a place that would have the big fountain and sort of all the bazaar of these shops that sell and trade for their small community.
People see you long before you see them, at least fully. And you get a couple of giggles from the local women, children of feminine presenting, of like, there goes Lucky kind of mentality. And the men are just sighing that sort of, one of these days he's going to get hurt, but in that affectionate fatherly way, or
It,
uncle or cousin.
as soon as that he's gonna get hurt, Lucky heads to the elder's house where he normally resided, and immediately circles to a corner of the house where there are grooves in the side of the building from where he had climbed over and over again. And immediately, full more animal than human kind of climbing, he starts like going up to the top where a wind vane and sort of small bell would be found, and just grabs onto the edges and stares out to the little islands that are absorbed whenever the tide rises, and just all of the village and the basically the life of these isles can be seen, and just absorbs them all. The biggest happy grin he can ever get.
And
And he just
for
does the big inhale, followed by the I'm home.
there's a bit of distant laughter and another far more distant call as you had run quite a distance, even for a small village, as this is one of the bigger villages on the Isles that has the technology that needed to help you when you were ill, and the ones that were willing to take care of you with the food that they had in excess, and the beds that they were willing to share. And because of that, you've become a staple in the community. A little bit of a reckless one, a little bit of a ditzy one, but a staple nonetheless. And as a result, after a couple of moments of letting those words ring into the air, you hear the door beneath you, kind of a little ways forward and a little underneath. The door slash tent area, like, you know those shop curtains that are like
Yes.
really jingly?
The like connected. Oh, I thought you were talking like the ones like connect magnetically.
No.
Curtain.
It's more like the beaded curtains. Ones that in a pinch can be replaced easier than a door.
Gotcha.
Those swing open with a clattering of wood and seashell glass and things that are easy to replace but look pretty on the outside. And just Lucky, calls the head elder, as you know him as Lorraine, though you might call him as any other different name. And he will respond.
Just the head peeking over the top of the roof. Hey, Gramps.
All right, get down here.
He stares, waiting for the other follow-up of quick or safely.
Safely.
Alright. And he just full on begins to roll and move and go back to the grooves that he had climbed up before, taking them back down.
When you wind around the front of the house, built into a sort of groove in and of itself, as if to lay a little lower than the tides, though you can't for the life of you figure out why. For this is a living area. This is the living area. You're not sure why the elder would have chosen to live in such a dangerous area. And he still hasn't told you the answer to this question, even though it's been years. And he just goes, you don't have to visit every day. And it's more of a tease than anything else.
But I'm told to announce whenever I come home, and this is home.
It sure is, kiddo. What brings you? As Lorraine looks over towards your chaperones, who are in no rush nor hurry, and in fact are just chatting and getting to know the environment, reinvigorated, as if they haven't been there in quite some time.
My storm. It's coming back.
Yes, we've noticed it will be a bad one this year.
But it won't be the bad one, the worst.
We're
Won't
not
be my
sure.
storm.
Don't worry yourself over it. We've gotten through the worst of it, so.
I know.
Truly. And he reaches
There's
out
no
and
one on
ruffles
the
your
aisle.
hair as you're talking.
I imagine like he probably has to like duck down a bit, because in my head this elder is sort of like a small man for some reason. So he just like kind of leans down, lets it happen, and just immediately falls into that Tarzan style of sitting and just goes, "There's no one on the aisles, right?"
Not right now, no. There are a couple of children that like to wander in that direction occasionally, as if to, the kids around here like to prove themselves, prove their mettle.
I know. They're the ones that found me. Oh, we're the little ones. Need to check on them. You kind of like three thoughts all vying for the first slot, you know?
And Elder Lorraine kind of laughs. And the laugh lines around his features kind of accentuate the kind of pale, kind of similar to yours actually, pale pearl eyes. As if he's grown used to the weathering of the tides, and with it, the pigmentation of his eyes. Though you've never really been able to tell if that came with its consequences or costs. And he never really seemed to betray any sort of weakness in his physique.
Lucky's kind of pearlish gray eyes are fixated on the aisles, one in particular, one that is not larger than the rest, sort of a middle ground, one that literally would look like nothing happens there. Not even children would go there to play. It has nothing, just a couple raised rocks and areas for where there probably was early settlement. And he just stares at it.
And there's a pat on your shoulder from Elder Lorraine. A jingling of jewelry made from sea glass and wood, just like the beads of the curtain behind him. You needn't worry. We've got everything under control this year.
Not worried. High tide means they come near. Come closer.
And we
We'll
will
stay
be
for the
ready.
tide.
The tide is not
We
meant
will-
to recede for quite some time. So
I have time.
There's a sigh of they know they can't sway your idea, but they can try. Well,
He's
if
got
you
that
and
big
your
smile of just like, I'm gonna do it.
I suppose you truly are just like, what was it now? Your mother or your father?
Yes. Points. Starting to sort of back up. That big giggly personality coming bubbling up again. I should go check on Doc. He'll need to see my health.
Please do not concern him with your training. He doesn't like the main island. You know this.
Okay. I will not tell him about the training. And like just before he bolts, he goes, I'll tell him how I fell off a roof, and runs off.
You hear the sigh as you speed past Marluxia and Larxene now, who just kind of stops, turn, and stare, only to cast a glance before you kind of lose sight of them in the crowds of people asking them questions. And you lurch off towards the doctors, towards one of the people who only introduced himself as Doc.
As Lucky makes his way there, he sort of takes these back areas that look like they lead to nowhere, but the more he kind of runs into these walls and starts bouncing off of them, it's that familiar of like one that's clearly Lucky's footprint on the wall, and then it's like there's his hand and the bouncing and following him as he starts climbing up these areas that look like they should be dead ends, but they're simply just waterways for the tide to not be able to pass through. So he just kind of climbs all of these because this is how he was before, climbing and rushing through these areas to get to where he wants to go without having to circle everywhere. And eventually he'll get to the docks. The docks place.
And the doctor of this island is one that is particularly popular even among the main island of Scalad. You find yourself in front of a more decorated and yet much more simplistic, sort of minimalistic chic kind of area of very function over form. You see a proper doorway made out of what looks like steel or metal or something built into proper ground and earth rather than anything on the sand or near the beach. And it's a little inconvenient, but for the dock it's preferred, as you've learned that this doctor is a relative of the one on the main island, though he still won't give you his name. Do you rush in, or do you knock first?
He's moving with full momentum, and as he's about to kind of rush in, it's that moment of having a flashback of the doctor saying, "Don't forget to knock," and then trying to stop in time, leading to just boom, running into the door, and then a pause, and a gentlest just knock, knock, knock.
You don't hear anything at first before the door kind of, after a moment, not more than 30 seconds, if that, results in the door creaking open against the ground, against the metal platings underneath. And it just, good morning, Lucky.
Good morning, Doc. I remembered to knock this time.
Did you hurt yourself in the interim?
I fell off a roof.
Lucky is more of a chastising tone more than a truly concerned one, as you've learned that you are made of sterner stuff, whatever that stuff may be.
It's fine. It was just like jumping off of Gramps' roof. It didn't hurt, but I scared people.
Come in, come in. We'll get you through a routine checkup. And steps
All
away
right.
from the door, leading you inside.
He moves as if he knows where to go, heading not to one of the waiting rooms, but rather an office area. That repetition of I've been here so many times, I know that if I go to a waiting room, I'm just gonna scare a nurse and then just sitting in the office.
And the nurses do recognize you, and they sort of jolt at the sight of, oh god, do we have to take care of the troublemaker again? Not in a bad way, as you've realized, but in that sense of every time he comes in, he's injured, and not just to say hello.
I feel like the head nurse just kind of catches his eyes and he just goes, "It's fine. It was just a roof. It was just a Grams kind of roof fall. I'm good."
And she shakes her head in that manner of, what am I supposed to do here? Truly, what am I supposed to do? But you step inside the doc's office, and he shuts the door behind you both and holds out his hand as if expecting you to do something.
He starts searching his pockets. Did he remember money?
You hear a heavy sigh of, your arm.
Oh, and then he puts one arm in the hand and then takes it back and puts the other one in.
You see the most tired expression of, which one did you hurt? Because he
I
apparently has
fell on
already,
this.
he seems to already understand that you have an injury that the others don't quite particularly understand is there.
I landed on this one. He points to the one in his arm. I broke a wooden sword with training with the other one. They told me to get it checked out, but I didn't feel it.
Didn't feel it as if it went numb, or that you simply did not feel it?
I felt it push against my body, but then I just pushed back and it cracked, so it didn't hurt.
There's a nod as he kneels down to one knee and takes out of his jacket one of the gauze strips and starts to at least bandage it up. Because he knows you're not truly injured, but he has to at least make sure you have something there to protect you.
This is the stillest that Lucky is. He's not jittering. He's completely still and focusing with Doc on, like, kind of mumbling the count of how many wraps falling off a roof gets.
And in total, there's about 7, maybe 8, and that's just to cover the basic area and then a little bit further down and up. It's kind of like a loose wrapping so that it's secure and is protected from the elements, as this is one of his more specifically meant for you gauze strips, so he doesn't care about using too much or too little, as either way you're going to get healed. And you've never been able to determine what his pattern of, I guess, recognition is for what injuries deserve what wraps and what ointments. It's always seemingly random, or at least you can't keep track of it.
No, Lucky just nods at some point and just goes, "Still can't find the person who smells like you. It's weird. Are you sure they're on the main island?"
Yes.
And you're sure I can't take like a handkerchief or rag just so I have an immediate reminder?
You don't need to find them. They'll find you if you're injured, because they're also a doctor.
I've fallen off a number of roofs and no one's rushed to my aid.
Yes, because they have your documentation. From me.
Oh. Takes a moment. Loading. Documentation.
They have your papers.
Oh! Cheater.
He chuckles, is it? In a manner of
I
speaking,
can't
yes.
I can't find them if they know that I'm looking.
They don't know you're looking, they're just hard to find.
I'll find them.
What's your fascination with finding them anyway?
You found me, so I should find them.
They're
Well,
alright. We keep in touch.
they're the only. Me and them are the only thing keeping you to the main island. And I visit often.
They visit.
Whenever there's no storms, don't they?
They do have a distaste for the storms, yes. And you're unsure of what Doc means by this.
Well, I hope they get over it eventually.
Probably not. They have a fear of the storms, to put it simply.
Were they struck by the storms?
It is not mine to say.
Speaking of, a big one's coming.
I know.
It's not that big though.
We're not sure yet. I'm sure the Elder has told you. But we're not sure how big this one is going to be. And I don't want you to worry about it because you're on the main island, which is protected from storms.
I know. And he kind of sounds disheartened by it. But I can feel it. It's not going to be that big. Tides will rise, but no thunder. Just lightning.
You realize those come at the same time, right?
Do they?
You can't have lightning without thunder and thunder without lightning. If you mean it will not be as bad as what it used to be once upon a time, correct. I don't think anything could be quite so awful as to render our lifestyles completely kaput. But thank you for the warning nonetheless.
Kind of takes a moment and just goes, always double check for the kids. Are they out at the islands today?
I'm not sure. One of them checked in with me before heading out, said that they were planning something, but I'm not sure what they were doing. They'll be back before sundown, I know that much. They're good on their time measurements.
They are the storm stars. And he finally starts kind of like raising up in that giggle again, just the.
I see you've named the trio of kids.
That was the name they told me. Well, one of them did. I kept repeating it. It makes And he's like trying to think. I forgot her name again. He's
I'm
just
sure
like
you,
taking time, and yeah, he's really just like frozen in place trying to remember this.
I'm sure you'll remember it when you need to. Don't stress yourself.
Uh, all right, all right. Am I good to go?
He stands up to his full height, and you realize once again, with kind of upsetting capacity, that he's a little taller than you. But not in the sense of dad, but rather in the sense of mom. And it's an uncanny valley of both of them care in the similar ways, but Doc cares about you the way that a doctor would. Mom cares about you in the way that a mom would, or at least what you've been told.
Just a nod. He's waiting for the response as he's hasn't fully gotten up just yet. Still in that kind of crouched position.
You're welcome to run off again, but take care of yourself. Please don't show up with another injury when I'm not here.
It was one time, and it's not my fault. The little baby broke my arm. And he starts like kind of bolting off with this one, being very careful this time not to upset the nurses.
And you hear a kind of distinct chattering that you recognize as, there he goes again.
He replies with, "Gotta make my rounds."
And it's a complicated endeavor to make your rounds when you're so well popular.
He probably does take more scenic routes to run with some of the more energetic kids, just like fully aware that like it's time. Whenever Lucky's near, it's whenever it's time to follow. We're being raided, by the way.
I know. I'm trying to get you to focus. No focusing on raids.
I'm, I'm fully watching the screen. I just saw that for a second. Okay. Uh, but no, yeah, he's taking the scenic route. He's running with the more energetic kids. He's listening for the ones that probably, because the normal kid thing is normally like, if you see someone who's good at climbing, it's like climb that, and it just falls under probably Marluxia and Elle suddenly watching Lucky pop up on top of a roof and disappear.
Like a meerkat, almost.
Yeah, sort of like a meerkat, but he's moving like a Muppet.
Oh no. That's horrifying.
It's the pop up, and then it's the bouncing to one side with no upper body movement before disappearing again.
Ugh. That's the worst. Marluxia finds it funny. Larxene finds it horrifying, like I do. Marluxia constantly laughs at your gimmicks in games, though they're not gimmicks in games to you.
No, this is his rounds. This is what he does.
And honestly, what results of it is there's nothing really out of place. There's people are trading, bustling, people are starting to go out to the ocean and fish, and some of them are pearl catching a little deeper inland. And it's a normal day. Even with the storm that they're talking about, it's just normal.
He will do all of his rounds, which is check on everybody he knows, which checked on Gramps, the Elder, Doc, the Savior, and he's looking around while doing the rest of his runs, which mainly falls under someone he knows saying, "Hey, Lucky, can you help out over here?" And just immediately stopping, helping, and then running off again.
So you're
As
kind of
he
like
looks
the village errand boy right now.
Yeah, sort of. He follows it as if it's like, I don't get to come home often. He comes home almost every other week, but I want to help while I'm here. And he's just following it. Some of them are more. I like to view this from Marluxia and Larxine's point of view at some point, of just they're watching him run around, do random things, and at some point it's just him talking to the fisherman about to head out and just going, thumbs up, dives into the water.
And when you come back up for air, or at least to give something back to the fisherman that was accidentally lost or was asked to be to retrieve, you hear both of them laughing and like doubling over with laughter. Because it looks so silly from their point of view, and they haven't really seen you do any of this up until this point. It's always been, one of the others that transports you to the Isle.
For the funnies on this one, I feel like he'll get stopped by a second fisherman, go down, and then return with a fish in hand, just holding it out like it's an offering, before a head shake, and he just sinks back into the water, returning something else.
Wrong lever, Kronk.
Yeah, it's like, no, Lucky. I said my cat, not a carp. Sinks.
That's so cute. I love Lucky so much.
The only person in the world who would mistake a baseball cap for a fish. But he will eventually start looking for, because it is low tide before it is high tide, some of the places where the thunderstars or lightning stars, whatever I had said prior,
Storm stars.
are kind of. Thank you. Thunderstars are normally present to be hiding in some of the more low tide caverns.
You you reach one of the like bigger spacious caverns for low tide of like they should not be here, but they probably are, and you hear a distinct "Oh," from deeper within of someone noticing your presence and then going scatter to the rest of them.
And immediately at the front, he just goes, oh, and joins them by running into runs into it, and eventually runs past like two of them, like, we're running!
And then most of them stop, and it's just a group of 5, mostly younger than you kids, that are kind of eccentric like you are. There's, the head of them, it's the one that you were struggling to remember the name of, that doesn't like being called the Storm Stars because it associates them specifically with the storm and not with beating up anything that comes from it. And then she just never gave you a better name, so it kind of stuck. And you remember her name kind of fast, as her name is Sky, or Skylar. And
just walks over,
she's just leaning against,
Skylar.
and she's just leaning. She's almost your height. She's one of the older ones, and she's leaning against one of the wooden placards that she's hung up in the low tide area. That basically denotates where they're supposed to start for their quote unquote hidden base.
Walks over, picks Sky up, and just goes, leader!
Yep, that's me. She doesn't seem all too fazed by your enthusiasm. If anything, she seems endeared by it.
He takes a moment, looks at the other two. You! Staring at one of the youngest ones, and immediately doing, like, the SpongeBob point. SpongeBob caveman point, specifically. Just the, whoo!
And you get, like, a series of high-pitched giggles. Just this eruption of joy and laughter as they, like they had said, to scatter. As they take off away from you.
With not putting Sky down, over the shoulder, chasing.
You just hear an indignant noise of, no, put me down, essentially.
It's just the, don't listen, follow. And it's like, he's not running seriously, because he'd catch up that way. He's kind of like running the same way a crab would, just like the towards the youngest one, and eventually just picking him up and going, hiya.
And there's just laughter that rings in your ears. There's just joy and mirth and laughter. As all you can think of is, despite the storm that brought you here, you might just be one of the few remaining bits and pieces of this village sunshine. As they have gone through tough time after tough time out here.
There are two. Where is the last one? Where are you? As he starts kind of like looking around, doing absolutely natural of like, people need to laugh, be funny, and just focusing on being the absolute like unserious, silliest dude he can be.
And you're suddenly swept up in not in a swirl of wind, but more of a like trip up underfoot as your legs come out from underneath you, as you are now holding two people and cannot functionally and feasibly catch yourself without landing on one of them. And you just hear the cackling of the middle, like one of the right hands of Sky, who you remember his name had something to do with Earth, but it wasn't like one of the old masters. Like you're pretty sure it wasn't Terra. That would be a little weird. And then it occurs to you. and then it occurs to you as, oh right, it wasn't Terra, it was Terrence.
He just looks at Terrence and goes, mound, before trying to get back up while still holding two people. Hold on, I got this. It's all in the legs. Yep. He's going to actively try to get up while carrying two people.
I don't think you can when they're both around your weight. You can certainly lift them to begin with while moving in momentum. I don't think you can do that.
He knows he can't. He's just gonna keep trying. I got it. I have this. Have faith and have the trust. I have this.
You always say that, Terrence kind of speaks up. Where'd you even get that phrase from? It sounds like something the mainlanders would use.
I do not know. You are fully aware I have no memories. Yep.
Just put down the others. Sky looks like she's ready to knock you upside the head.
But she's gonna hurt her hand.
And she'll still do it. I sure will.
He lets Sky down and just moves Gaia to his back. Getting up easier now that he has both hands.
And all three of them kind of look around as two of them have rushed off away from the low tide cavern, back towards the village as you see the smaller footsteps kind of rushing away.
Is there more? You guys recruit while I was not present?
Yeah, it's not like you're a recruiting manager, as Sky kind of teases you.
Yeah, but I'm the only one that can fight the EBDB.
The what? Oh, the Heartless.
Those little,
Yeah.
yeah, those fights. How bad has it gotten with those little EBDBs?
Not really. They've not really shown up. I think you just
Anything
got
else? Though?
unlucky.
How can I not be what on me? What?
No, lucky as in the noun. Also
Smug
echo.
grin. He has a smug grin as I fix.
The smug grin.
Yes, the smug grin of I fully knew what I was doing. The pun was intentional.
They all kind of shake their heads, and the littlest one gets down from being on piggyback and starts to head off with Terrence as Gigi, the one that you called briefly Gaia. As Gigi walks away with Terrence, and Sky is just watching them leave and then turns to face you. You know we're fine.
I know, but storm's coming.
I
Low tide
know.
and storms normally bring bad stuff, so
I know. Trust me. Why do you think we were out here? To make sure everything was locked down. You worry too much. It's gonna give you worry lines before you're however old you are. And she's always been the
ambiguously
skeptical one.
just ambiguously teen. That's what mom says.
Right. The weirdo.
Which one?
The fact that I have to articulate as she kind of fumbles the word a little bit of at first she goes articulate for a moment. The reason I have to articulate it is not great. You really should pick a lane.
If I picked something, then I'd have to follow it. You know, I
What?
don't do things like that. And he just walks off. Starts walking off, leaving her behind a little bit, just like, yeah, you know, yeah.
And it's by this point running around doing all your errands, talking with the Storm Stars and their leader Sky. It's kind of getting closer to 1 o'clock in the afternoon, as your errands rarely take very long. And it's around the time that you're supposed to, at the very least, check in with your mom.
He's gonna take a moment, look for his waterproof phone, because he knows he has one. And he's just gonna try and remember where he put it, find it eventually. It has definitely got the screen cracked, but he does pull it out and starts doing his best to dial. Stopping, moves to Sky and goes, "Do you remember the number from my mom?"
Why would I know it? Is it not on speed dial?
Right, that was a thing that he set up for me. And then he immediately kind of like puts the 8 numbers he had put in and just goes, "Oh no." And then goes to pause, leans back to Sky. "Where do I find the dial speed again?"
And as Sky goes to like reprimand you for forgetting again, even though she just told you not too long ago in her terminology, Marluxia clears his throat.
Oh,
we could just head back.
shakes his head. "We stay for the storm."
I don't think so. We still have. You can't be here without a chaperone, and we have our jobs to do.
Can we at least stay for when it starts?
It won't be starting for another couple days.
Stares off into the distance. Feels closer.
And you would know this how? Larxene kind of speaks up as she walks up with another drink in hand, though it's a different one this time, as you recognize it's more of an herbal concoction.
He just kind of pauses and tilts his head. Feel it.
All right. What are you, an old lady now? That's supposed to be my gig. And
No.
then Marlish just goes, "You're not old. If you're old, then I'm dust."
Okay,
You are.
dust. And he starts kind of
Both
like
of them just
wandering.
go, basically, you are, to his face.
Yeah. He takes a moment and just kind of moves to, I imagine they're near the square. He moves to one of the more opening areas that lead out to the aisles still. Because those are a
Hmm.
beautiful those are a beautiful set of small islands. Of course, a small town like this on a major isle would have a clear view of them, so they have awareness of low and high tide. And he just
Hmm.
kind of stares at like this same island that had his attention before, the one that looks unimportant, and just goes, I feel it. My feelings aren't ever really wrong, they just kind of off.
We can check back tomorrow, but we need to go at least check in with Headmaster Roxas.
Alright. It's gonna hit us when we're on our way back.
I don't think so. I think you're being a little bit uneasy right now.
Hmm? Like, he has no iteration of, like, unease at all. It's sort of just kind of like that listless, sort of zoned out uh, energy, I guess. No, storms aren't that bad unless someone's on the islands. And the storm stars are over here, so no one's on the islands.
And
Mr.
Marluxia
Dougal.
just reaches out to you and puts a hand on your shoulder. Come on. You're. Who was it again? And smiles, as you have never told anyone outside of Shion who your quote unquote mom is.
Just the stare of my mom.
Yeah. And who was that?
My mom.
Hmm. Well, let's go see your mom then. As
Alright.
as they start to head back to the docks.
He gets to the docks and he'll kind of look at. He'll take a moment and wave bye to all those who are normally there to see him off and just stare up to the sky one more time.
It's a beautiful day
Get on
out.
the boat. Yeah. That's how they always look. And then he just gets on the back of the boat, watches the aisles.
As the ferryman starts to go back towards the main island, this is kind of one of the main ticketed areas. Oh, you're echoing again.
Lower my volume, see if that helps any.
But as you go back with Marluxia and Larxene, they seem to be not chatting anymore, just keeping an eye on you and making sure that you're alright. What do you tell them?
I'm fine. I'm always fine. I'm lucky. And he kind of holds his hand out as if expectingly waiting for something to fall. I'm always lucky.
They just stare at you as you head back to the entirety of the main island with nary a raindrop.
Not to them or to anybody who's really focusing, but the extended hand, at the very tip of the extended hand, there are long, long into the distance, clouds sort of start to darken. Storms come from all angles. And eventually, once they get to the main island, he'll just get off and go, okay, bye, and then walk off without them.
Tell your mom we said hey,
Okay.
as they head off in a different direction, trusting you not to shirk your work, essentially. Where do you head?
He will head to nowhere first. He'll head off to some of the main areas of like traversing, and then he'll just duck into little side areas and alleys, and eventually he'll just get to this grandiose sort of wall, and he'll just turn around, check his surroundings, make sure no one's looking. Do you feel like anybody's watching him?
Not that you're aware of.
One hand on this large trash can, and just moves this massive green metal with barely any kind of motion of like force to
Mhm.
the wall, climbs on top of it, climbs onto the edge of the wall, and he's going to start climbing into the building that is maybe a floor or two up. As he reaches one room, climbs in, and just goes,
Actually,
"Arrive, mother!"
actually, you
Oh,
don't even get that far, as a familiar grasp on the back of your shirt pulls you away from the trash can,
eh?
and and what do you think you're doing? As the familiar voice of Headmaster Roxas speaks up and proceeds to not chastise you, but curiously wonder why you're going in from this angle.
He takes a moment and goes, "I was gonna go to Dad's room, Dad's office."
He clears his throat as if to correct you. That room has been locked for decades.
Not the windows. Windows are open.
Lucky!
Yeah, what? Huh?
The room. Nobody has access to it. He's looking at you
Right.
as
Yeah,
if
no one has
not to broach the subject any further.
Oh, right. No one has access to it. I'm lucky, but I'm nobody. Got it. Like puts his finger to his head, then like motions it between theirs. Got it. I got you, Mom.
I'm not your. And he tucks you under one arm and just starts to walk towards the front of the building that is.
Wait, wait, wait. Put me down. I need
Pause
to fix
it.
the trash.
No, it's trash, Lucky.
It's pushed too close to the wall. People will know.
No, they won't. Only you do.
Yes, they will. If we
No,
leave
and
now, it's
keeps
not gonna be
walking.
like evil.
And keeps
I'll scream
walking.
help again.
Just the sigh of someone who's all too used to your shenanigans. And sets you down and leans against the wall to watch you, as if to not let you go and do it again.
He walks up to the large kind of what should be probably stationary, but has a set of wheels on it that normally only a large kind of truck can move, and just kind of grabs it from the top and the bottom and starts again pausing before looking around, making sure no one's watching except the mom.
As far as you know, only your mom is watching.
Lifts it off the ground a bit and then waddles it back to the place he normally keeps it. Setting
You
it
don't
down
see it.
gently so it doesn't thud.
You don't see it more than you feel it of Roxas rubbing at his temples because it's a sound that he makes very specifically. Just the.
Yeah, yeah.
Come on, Lucky.
he will sort of like brush it off and kind of look and make sure, is my handhold still there? And at the very bottom of the trash can there is straight up just an imprinted dent. He goes, cool, good, same, and just rushes off to Roxas. Coming.
And he leads you into the main building where primarily him and Shion stay, but Shion kind of does her own thing, has her own little keeping place at the top of the main island. And
Auntie's not
they,
here?
no, she's off practicing a couple of rituals with the main elders of this island. You know this. This is her off day, and she prefers to spend it studying.
Right. Sorry.
And he kind of opens the door, ushers you inside, and it's prepared the way that you often see it on your days to visit Roxas. And when he's actually there, it's always prepared for you. There's a couple of blankets, a pillow that's tailor made to always be fluffy, but as far as you're concerned, you have the luck of never disturbing it. And it's just, oh, I'm as light as a feather, and I have the strength of a bull, and Roxas never corrects you. And you see in the corner that same picture of three people, one redhead, one that looks like him when he was younger, and one that looks like Shion when he was younger, when she was younger. And you vaguely recall the redhead being described as Lee, or Axel, as Roxas had once said, as a slip up. And Roxas never really spoke about that person again, while Shion talks about him often. And you know so much about him that you're pretty sure if he was still around, you'd be calling him uncle.
He kind of gives the gentle finger pat the painting or picture and moves to what initially looks like he's going to go where he normally rests, but moves to more of the windows again. Storm's coming.
Yeah? As
Yep.
Roxas settles down in his seat across from where you normally sit, starting to make tea. Or something that looks like
Gonna
tea at the very least.
High Tides is gonna get up to Gramps' building again.
You're awfully suspicious about this sort of thing.
I don't know. I can just tell. It's one of those things that, like, whenever I focus on a thing, like when Master tells me to focus on something and it'll come easy, I don't have to focus on it. I just know, you know? Storm's coming from the left, too. It's not gonna hit any of the aisles, but it's gonna make travel a bit harder. I don't know when it's gonna come, though.
Roxas, you just hear shake his head. Just the, whatever you say, kiddo. Not that I don't believe you, you say this a lot, and it rarely happens. And when it does, you're very, very right. Just not this time. We've already predicted the
Yeah.
forecast for the next 2 weeks. And it's clear skies.
And I remember when I was found, it was predicted there would be clear skies for the month. And remember? The sudden tundra. And he, like, kind of waggles his fingers.
You mean torrent? As he smirks at you.
What's the difference?
Tundra is cold, torrent is wet.
But it was cold. Well, I was just in a blanket, so I guess everything was cold.
A head shake, but you see Roxas smiling.
The sudden torrent.
Are you going to come eat with me, or am I going to spend lunch alone? As you see a bunch of little cakes and sandwiches and snacks laid out, stuff easy to put in into a pouch or into a pocket and take with you.
He does get like kind of distracted for a minute and gives one last look out to the aisles on the edge, kind of like, though they are not physically there, blue and yellow lightning kind of flows into his eyes. All right, I'm hungry. And he immediately comes over, forgetting his manners, and starts to eat.
Roxas doesn't correct you, but there is sort of a laugh. It's around you, you've heard his laugh more often than maybe even Shion has recently. But you've heard that he's got a reputation of being quite the cold and callous headmaster.
The pedalman and the shocky lady know who you are. Or they
Yeah,
think they know.
they're very smart, I wouldn't be surprised.
Are they like you and Dad?
He pauses. I don't know what that refers to.
A mom and a dad. They care about each other a lot, and then they have a kid.
I don't care about him.
But you care about me.
I do. Because you are my student. I care about all my students.
He looks at his pillow. You have more?
The school. I care about the school and its students.
Oh. Okay. Still nodding.
He just continues to take a sip at his tea every so often, though it looks kind of overboiled almost, oversteeped. It's supposed to be stronger, he says. The longer you let something steep in terms of tea, the stronger it is. And this one smells strong and sweet, meaning he's trying to stay awake. But you don't question this. You never do. It's just something he does when he has a bad night sleeping.
Sugar. You need more sugar. And like, Lucky kind of rubs his nose as if he just smelled everything in that coffee.
No, I think I've got enough sugar.
No, you're gonna have more cups, so you need more sugar. More sugar, less cups.
And he stands up with a kind of crack to his back of like probably hasn't properly stretched in a little bit. Which he does give you a glance before you open your mouth to chastise him in return. And he just walks over to one of the cabinets on the eastern side of the building and starts to rummage through and see if he has any more sugar cubes. And after a moment of searching, he realizes that he doesn't, and just it kind of hangs his head. I have to go shopping again. Yep.
Want me to go shopping?
No, we'll do it together. We'll just go to the other side of the island. Not underground, just the other side. Sound good?
Yes.
And I think
I need to buy
a good
umbrellas.
place to try to wrap up, because I don't want this to be a 2.5 hour long one. Because otherwise, we're gonna just be shopping for an hour.
Oh yeah, you and I could absolutely go back and forth for at least like 4 hours. We have done before.
Yeah. So I'll say with this next part, we will wrap up. You start to head out with Headmaster Roxas, and he lets you in on a couple of things that he's been doing while you've been gone. It's nothing really important, and he knows that he's just saying things so that you'll get bored, but you never do. Hearing about Roxas's day is always something to be concerned about. And he tells you about Shion being concerned about some magic, but she's always concerned about the magical barriers around the island. And he talks about the way that you were found, though that's a common topic of he worries that you're going to end up in the same predicament as someone he remembers from a long time ago, which always seems to irritate him. But you do go shopping. You do hang out. And you do get sugar cubes. And it is a beautiful day outside.